Welcome to our channel. I am Melanin Magic. If you want long locks,
luscious hair, radiant skin, want to look and feel good,
then I Am Melanin Magic is your brand.
I Am Melanin Magic,
and so are you. Welcome back to the channel. You are with Tanisha Ali of Tanisha's Locks, Beauty Tips and Potpourri. Today we are talking about the difference between Sisterlocks and Microlocks. Now this is a matter of perspective. So take what resonates and leave all the rest. These are just my views, but there's some things that I've concluded on my way to this journey or on my way through this journey and having learned quite a bit along the way. And probably the most important aspect of it is that there's really not that much of a difference, but I'm going to get into some of the commonalities first, and then I'm going to go into some of the differences in case you happen to be on the fence. But what I will say as a preface to everything else that I'm going to say is that there's not that much difference. The major difference that you see depends upon how you start the Microlocks. But if you start the Microlocks the same way that you start the Sisterlocks, which is through an interlocking process, at the end of the day, you're not going to see as much difference. Now, in terms of what they have in common, everyone, they are all beautiful. They're micro, so they are little. They are falling under a class that a lot of people refer to today as tiny locks, which means they're pretty small. Now, the Sisterlocks may be a little bit smaller depending upon who you talk to, because there's less variety in terms of falling outside of the patented process. However, both of the locks are going to be small. You'll never have another bad hair day. Okay, the locks look beautiful. They give your hair versatility because they are so small. And I can promise you the other thing that they'll have in common, if you find the right loctician and if you do your due diligence and you take care of your hair and you're an active participant in your own rescue, you will find that you will not be sorry and you will never have to look back. But that too has a caveat to it, which we will get into a little bit more later. So let's talk about the differences. Okay. Now, when we talk of Sisterlocks, it's a style that has tiny little locks, which look almost like braids. They're very versatile. They allow you the luxury of styling your hair in all sorts of ways. You can wrap your hair and wear it, in a wrap. You can curl your locks. Some people will even apply heat to them. You can use all sorts of tools. You can get just about any hairstyle with these that you could get with your natural hair if it were out. Sisterlocks is a patented process, meaning the style was started by someone who decided that the value of what they were doing was so important that they wanted to protect certain aspects of the style. Sisterlocks was created by Joanne Cornwell. I believe it was somewhere in, I could be wrong, I want to say 80s, but I don't know where I'm getting that from. It's been around for a while, but it's gotten a lot of notoriety at the turn of the century, okay? After 2000, it has become more and more popular, and within the last 5 years, it's become very popular. But with that patented process, there's a certain trademark way there's a certain way that the hair is parted. There's a certain grid, which is a result of the parting. The locks are various sizes depending upon where in your hair the loctician is installing your locks. There's a particular tool that is being used. If you haven't watched my 10 or 11 different retightening tools for Sisterlocks, watch that video. It was the last one that I uploaded before this one, and I go over multiple tools, and there are quite a number of knockoffs or additional tools that look identical to the Sisterlocks tool that you might want to actually investigate. But there's a certain tool that is used to install the locks. There is regular required, but also a particular type of maintenance that is recommended for you while going through the journey. There is a certain pattern that you will have if you have your Sisterlocks installed. There is a certain installation process which starts out with you having a consultation and having sample locks installed so that you can see if you're ready for this, but also so that the loctician can gauge which particular pattern or rotation your hair takes best. So there are a lot of little things like that that are actually a part of the Sisterlocks process, which differentiate it from Microlocks. Think of Microlocks as a kind of tiny lock. Think of Sisterlocks as a kind of tiny lock. So they are all tiny locks, but think of Sisterlock as the brand name for a particular type of tiny lock, and the Microlock as more of a generic approach to having small locks, which has its grid and other recommendations and suggestions, even down to the way that the locks are installed at the discretion, has all of those things at the discretion of the loctician or the person that is actually installing the locks. That's going to be the best way to look at it. And as you can, pretty much presume or conclude, there are pros and cons to that. You have a little bit more creative freedom. All right, you may be without the Levi's name or the Gloria Vanderbilt name or the Lee's branding or whatever other the name brand may be of something that I know y'all like Louis Vuitton and some of those Prada and all that. It's like the Prada right now, but competition is gaining, and we need competition in the marketplace because it forces people to stay competitive, and it holds them accountable to the consumer in ways that maybe in the past they have taken for granted. And that is a soapbox and event which I'm not going to get on, but I would like to bring a video to you not so far in the distant future where we look at some of the other brand name tiny lock processes which are growing, which are gaining traction, and which are giving us all something to look at in a very serious way from a competitive standpoint and from a free marketplace participation standpoint that will give you more options in the workplace as to how you want to spend your dollars. So this is something that I'm definitely keeping an eye on, and I will want to share with you soon. When you think of the Sisterlocks, think of it like a thoroughbred, okay, versus, you could say mutt, but I don't mean mutt in a derogatory way. A mutt is a dog that doesn't come from a thoroughbred line. Maybe he doesn't have his papers, he's beautiful and you love him just as much, but maybe he doesn't cost as much. Maybe his name or his the type that he is may not be recognized, but a Rottweiler from, say, a German Shepherd, Pit Bull, and Rottweiler mix. You also know a certain quality of Rottweiler that may come from a champion line versus one that someone continues to breed in their backyard. Okay, so the Sisterlock as a brand has been presented to us as the go-to when it comes to tiny locks. There are reasons for that, but the primary reason is that it was, or has been, as far as I know, the first patented interlocking process for tiny locks. Does that mean it is the best? No. Why do I say that? Because I'll say this about just about anything. When you go to the school, you can go to a school that didn't make AYP, but you can have an excellent teacher. You can go to a school that has made AYP and is a school of excellence and have a crappy teacher, right? Well, you can be a part of the Sisterlocks community and have someone that went in and did the training but didn't do their due diligence, could care less about hair in general, and has no other level of expertise except the fact that they know how to use that little tool. And at the end of the day, just because you paid for Sisterlocks doesn't mean you're going to get the same quality if you don't do your due diligence. So it doesn't guarantee that, but I feel that because Sisterlocks, the brand, was more of a pioneer, it is something that we all stopped and took a lot of notice of. We didn't have a lot of options, and we knew that we could rely on certain things with Sisterlocks. I'm going to have, for the most part, although not without exception, a certain number of locks. I'm going to have a recommendation with regard to some of the things that I need to do for my hair. Wherever I go to get an installation, there's certain things that I can expect from my installation consultation. They're just some regular patterns that I can expect because the women who are able to install the Sisterlocks are certified Sisterlocks locticians. When you go to have your microlocks done, they can be done by anyone. Now that person can have a skill level that far outpaces your Sisterlocks loctician. That person can also be a certified Sisterlocks loctician, but they also do tiny locks or microlocks. But they may be able to size the hair in a more creative fashion. They may have what they feel is a better grid for you. They may make different decisions with regard to sizing, and they may, depending upon their particular philosophy and their ability to apply some of the rigidity that comes with the Sisterlocks brand, they may decide to leave the process open to your input, and they may make some creative changes of their own as well. So when you consider all of that, there can be a lot of reasons why, if you're a particular type of person, you might want to consider Microlocks over Sisterlocks, as long as you make sure that if you want a certain type of Sisterlock, then of the different ways that they are installed, whether the hair is twisted and double strand, whether you are braiding the hair to turn it into microlocks, or whether the hair is being interlocked, or there's so many different ways that you can begin the process of installing them. But again, if you want them to look a certain way and you want them to look close to Sisterlocks, then you're going to want to use an interlocking tool, but you're not going to be stuck with the Sisterlocks tool. So those would be some of the things that you might want to consider. I said there's only one way to start Sisterlocks. There are multiple ways to start microlocks. In order to get Sisterlocks installed and be able to say you have Sisterlocks, you need to go to a certified Sisterlocks loctician. That is not required in terms of being able to get microlocks. You just need to go to someone whose work you have sampled, whose work gets your stamp of approval in order to say that you have microlocks or tiny locks. There's a difference in the price tag. I have found this to be true with even Sisterlocks locticians that also do microlocks. Now, while the price of microlocks is increasing, for the most part, the installation fee and the associated prices with retightenings are still going to be a little bit below what you'll find in the Sisterlocks community. And a lot of that has to do with brand recognition, just like with anything else, okay? There's going to be consistency in the size and the partings. In a whole section of your hair, the partings are going to look the same. Now, granted, if you have someone who does your microlocks and they really take a lot of pride in what they do and they're very conscientious, you're also going to find that you can have that same level of consistency. With the microlocks, you can also tell your loctician a bit more about what you would like in terms of size. For example, with my Sisterlocks, they're much smaller here than they were up in here, okay? I separated a lot in the top part of my hair. I would have liked certain ones in the back where my hair is really thick, especially the baby hair that continues to grow outside the lock over here that constantly has to be placed into the lock and makes the locks thicker and thicker and thicker. I would have, if I had my druthers, wanted to have all my locks the same size. Now, I kind of accomplished that because of some things that I was willing to step out on the ledge and do to my own hair. And also I had the kind of loctician who was willing to be patient with me and didn't mind making some changes, as long as she advised me of what my rights were. As long as she let me know what I was dealing with and making those changes and how it might or might not affect my grid and all the other ancillary things that she wanted me to be aware of. But I had the kind of loctician who was willing to entertain some of my personal taste preferences, and that's actually very important. The other thing, I think that for most people, the untrained eye cannot tell the difference between the two unless you started your locks with palm rolling or you started your locks with braids. Different ways of starting the locks. The lock will mature differently. For some, it'll be more cylindrical. The braid pattern, if you plaited yours down and just started out with individual braids, it's going to take you much longer for the hair to lock and much longer for that braid pattern to disappear. Things like that. But for most people, the untrained eye, most people can't tell the difference between Sisterlocks and microlocks. Now, if you're one of those gung-ho, die-hard Sisterlock people, you can tell the difference. You can tell the difference. Typically, when I look at people and I'm able to tell the difference, it's because of the size of the lock. And it's also because of the way the lock looks. That pattern, that interlocking pattern looks a little different for people who did not start their locks with the Sisterlocks. And of course, the infamous grid. The grid is something that distinguishes Sisterlocks, but I can promise you, if you find a good microloctician and she does a wonderful grid, she may have changed something about the grid, but I've seen some beautiful grids out there that were not Sisterlock grids, but were the reflection and the representation of someone who was very conscientious about the kind of work that they did. With the Sisterlocks, you might get more locks than you do with Microlocks. Why? Because of things that have to do with the grid, things that have to do with the size of the locks, and certain requirements. For example, I want to say the number is about 400 and 450 they say you need to have in order to have Sisterlocks. Now, that's not without exception, though, because some people who have Sisterlocks that have very thin and fine hair are not able to withstand that number of locks without them being too small. But they use the tool. They went to a certified Sisterlocks loctician. They have the grid, and they have the pattern. And so I always say, if it looks like a duck, it sounds like a duck, and it acts like a duck, then God damn it, it's a duck. And don't tell somebody that they don't have Sisterlocks because they're 2 locks shy of what the magic number is, right? Because maybe their scalp cannot sustain that. So you don't want to be too anal about it. I'm one of those Sisterlocks people. I kind of like the flow. All right. And by the way, if you have not purchased my I Am Melanin Magic Oil or my anti-aging serum, which is why I'm coming up on 51 and my skin looks like this, and yours can too, if you want to look radiant and naturally exfoliated every single day, and even though you do like this all day and you get these wrinkles, if you want them to smooth out, then you need to go to my website, IamMelaninMagic.com, and you need to get my anti-aging serum. And if you have not heard of my magical hair growth serum and you've been losing hair, I got all kind of testimonials from women on this channel who have put this in their hair and are growing hair in hard to grow areas or areas where they have not had hair in years. Okay, this is medicinal. It is not as beautiful and fruity as a magical I Am Melanin Magic Premium Hair Oil that is a spray, but I will tell you that that as well has remediated a lot of problem hair issues. Okay, it's just that this one is bona fide, more medicinal. But again, the website is in the description. I also put it at the beginning of the video, I believe, because I'm going to go back and do a little brief commercial. So anyway, ultimately, your choice is going to come down to the amount of money you want to pay, whether or not you want a particular grid. Some people get Sisterlocks just to be a part of the Sisterlocks community because Sisterlocks, they say, cost a lot of money. I'm not into titles. I'm not into, all that glitters is gold business. I'm not into a whole lot of pomp and circumstance, and I don't give a damn if you have Sisterlocks. I don't give a damn that I have Sisterlocks. I just happen to get lucky because I chose this because it was the only thing that I was educated about, and people around me had Sisterlocks. But it doesn't make me feel any better than someone else who has Microlocks, who is that shallow that they need the name in order to feel like somebody, right? I am somebody. I'm somebody, and so are you, irregardless. So there's a certain name recognition that comes with it. Quite frankly, if the name recognition is important to you, then go for it. But if you think that the name recognition is going to give you some special ability to file a grievance or to have your concerns looked at or to find out more about the process, it's just not going to. There is a shroud of mystery around this hairstyle and things that really need to be talked about simply because it is a brand. But I feel like those things are going to change, y'all. Do you all see the magic of the sun that is coming through and shining the light on you and me? I feel that is going to change. And what always levels the playing field is the fact that people have more choices and they can vote with their feet. And as the market for options for the African Black woman becomes more saturated with the diversity of creative options that we all inspire, oh, it's so good to be a melanated being. It is so wonderful to be Black and of the African diaspora. Oh, there's never been a better time to claim your natural beauty and your options as it is now. But with all of that out there to play with, you better believe that we've never been short on creativity. I can't help but feel like the creative prowess that we have, the creative originality, has to do with the melanin. There's some research behind that as well that has been kept from us, but there's a certain level of creativity and power that an excess of melanin gives melanated people. And when you look at the beautiful things that we're able to do with our hair, with our faces, with the way that we've decorated our bodies, that go all the way back to Africa with the invention of the wigs and the facial jewelry and just so many options in terms of body art. There is no limit to the options that we will have as we continue to walk the face of this planet. So these are all wonderful things. I think I have talked about pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. Last but not least, I'm going to tell you, and if you are in the market for trying to decide what is going to be best for you, the best decision that you can make is one that is well researched and one that looks at the peculiars of what will become your hair care journey. And at the top of, that list is going to be finding a quality loctician, someone that you can get along with, someone that you trust, someone that you don't mind visiting every couple of months or so, someone who has a knowledge of hair and not just putting a style in your head. Doing your due diligence is very critical, and I have a video that's going to be coming out in the next few weeks on how to do research for your Sisterlocks. This is a channel that you can come to if you're new to this channel to get real advice, to find out what some of the struggles are. I like to try to talk as frank about things as I can without leaving you with a negative taste in your mouth. I try to be professional. I try to be positive, but I do try to keep it real. And there are some things that you need to be mindful of when you embark upon a Sisterlocks or Microlocks journey. I don't think it's any different for Microlocks because you still have retightenings. You still have people who may add extensions. You still are dealing with the demands of caring for a head full of locked hair. You're dealing with so many issues that don't differentiate or don't discriminate based on the brand of the tiny lock that you actually have. But I hope that you did benefit from this video. I hope that you found it useful. If you did, put it in the comments. If there's something else that you feel differentiates the Microlock from the Sisterlock, let me know. Also, if there is the name of a new and emerging tiny lock that you would like me to research and look more into, please, I implore you to put that information in the description and I will look at that. If you haven't purchased my book, Manifesting Your Masterpiece, and you're trying to gain clarity over your life and you're trying to heal and clear energetic blockages, you're trying to up-level your mindset so that you can manifest the abundance that you deserve, the abundance that is the divine imperative, please take it upon yourself to go to Amazon and grab my book. Again, don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you made it to the end, let me know that you made it to the end. And for all of you who continue to come back and support the channel, there is no shortage in my heart of love for you, of appreciation for you. I am super, super grateful for everything that you all do for the channel, for the well wishes, for the blessings, for I Am Melanin Magic, which is thriving, which is doing well and is helping so many women. There's no shortage of gratitude in my heart and love for you. This channel, which I started out playing on for fun, has become one of my most favorite things to do, this one and my other channel. So I just want to show you some love and just let you know how much I appreciate you, okay? I feel like I have friends in high places. I say it all the time. I know so many of y'all. I got some videos coming up with testimonials from sisters that I have to edit and put out here for you just to share some of the stories that some of the other sisters on the channel wanted to share with you as well. But I do love y'all. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And just remember that you are blessed. Remember that you're prosperous. Remember that life is good and life is beautiful, and that every day you wake up is another day to get it right. Put one foot in front of the other, walk forward, and never look back. I love you. Bye.